seen enough signals to make a call that the lows are in. But again, when you're trading at 16, 15,000, I don't think there's that much more to go to the downside. I mean, maybe 12 to 13, maybe worst case scenario 9, but for sure we're in that anger area, right? I mean, I think FTX really was one of those scenarios where investors were like, what the heck? This is messed up that people are, basically lying to our face and just taking money and running. So I do think that we're close. I still think it could take another 6 to 12 months for it to bottom out. But I think that, again, the downside is somewhat limited when you look at the bigger move from 69,000 all the way down to 15.7 or so.
For over 2 decades, Gareth Soloway has been engaged in trading for his own portfolio, providing consulting services to hedge funds and offering guidance to individual investors as a professional trader. In his analysis for the day, Gareth Soloway will be providing insights on macro trends, technical charts, and potential trade opportunities across commodities and cryptocurrency markets. Before proceeding further in this video, please make sure to click on the subscribe button below to stay updated with our latest content. According to Gareth Soloway, throughout 2023, Bitcoin is anticipated to undergo numerous fluctuations in value, largely due to a variety of factors that will impact its price and volatility. The global economic conditions could have an impact on Bitcoin in 2023. A stronger than expected confidence figure will point to more Fed tightening, which will be negative for Bitcoin prices. In the event of an economic downturn or recession, investors may choose to invest in safe haven assets, potentially causing a decrease in the value of Bitcoin. Let's take a look into the video.
Yeah, I think through the early summer months, my guess is we will retest those October lows. But I think, again, the recession that everyone's talking about will eventually hit. But my guess is likely in the second half. So kind of late summer, fall, maybe into the kind of November, December period. And so I think that the markets are going to be kind of on the kind of the cusp of wondering what's the Fed going to do, right? Because the positive of a recession is the Fed stops hiking and maybe cuts, but the negative of a recession is lower earnings for stocks and maybe a troublesome recession that we can't get out of very easily unless the Fed comes to the rescue. So it's going to be one of those guessing games, I think, over the next 3 to 4 months. And then I do think that ultimately it becomes a very bearish scenario for the overall equity markets and really, to be honest, all risk assets. I think we're seeing more and more signals of this where, you're getting certain data points like jobs to stay strong, but then you have other kind of economic data points that are becoming very, very weak. And I think ultimately the jobs will weaken, but it's keeping the Fed tighter for longer. And that's actually going to be very problematic over the next 12 to 18 months. So I think you're going to get in this very serious pickle for this economy. And I think you're going to see a lot of fear coming in later in the year and into 2024. Yeah.
Gareth Soloway believes a positive sign is that retail traders seem to have made the most of the crypto bear market. On March 1, Bitcoin started on a positive note while the United States equities market struggled. This shows that Bitcoin is trying to decouple from the U.S. equities markets. The decline in Bitcoin's price has essentially dashed the hopes of bullish investors who were expecting the price to reach $24,500. As the deadline approaches, it is unlikely that their bets will be successful. It is possible that the post-2024 halving period may see a mode rate increase of 2 to 3x in Bitcoin's peak price. Various on-chain and technical indicators suggest that the bear market of 2022 has ended, and the world's largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization has had a positive start in 2023.
I do think that we're going to see some downside in Bitcoin here, and we've already seen a little bit of a pullback off the 25,000 marker. But let's take a look at the chart and see store here. So if we look at the chart of Bitcoin, we can see that the recent highs mirror the high pivot from the August period, right? So it makes a lot of sense why that was going to be a pivot resistance point. And so what we can do is we can basically take a trend line, put it right at that high, and it's the highest point going back to when we made the cycle lows on Bitcoin here, and that's where we stopped out. Now, what we're seeing here is actually a little bit of a channel being developed. And again, channels are really handy for kind of giving us highs and lows. So what we can do is we can connect these lows here, and we drag that trend line up, and then we notice that that matches the highs on Bitcoin as well, from here to right here. So what this tells me is that you have a lot of resistance around 25,000, 25,300, but then your technical support is around 22,300. So my guess is we'll retest 22,300. The big question then becomes, do we break that level? I am in the camp that eventually we do break that level and we trade back to about the 18,400 level, which was the midpoint here of this kind of W pattern bottom. So again, I
Yep.
am in the camp that we will see some trouble for the economy here over the next next, at least in Bitcoin and the stock market, the next few months, I do think a retest of the October lows, which then brings Bitcoin back to about 18,400. We're looking because
Resistance.
price right
Sorry.
now trading at
Yes.
23,500. So I think that's what we're watching here, right? So you're absolutely correct, is that you're getting this consolidation in the charts, and that does seem to be a pivot point. And the reason it's a pivot point is that if we look at the daily chart, and I can throw my chart up again here to take a look,
Yep.
is we clearly see that this area here, that first kind of little topping area, that's right at 23.8. And so the idea here is that if you can recapture that high, it starts to tip the scales towards the more bullish side. Now, again, if we put that trend line in here, right at 23.8, you can see right now we are just below it, but you could be putting in a little consolidation that could be setting up for another move to the upside. So this is kind of one of those scenarios where as a trader, I sit back and I watch because I'm not good enough to kind of determine which direction it's going to go, but it will be interesting. And I agree that if we get back above 23.8 and it can stay there, let's first say for 24 hours, it then increases the probability of us making a move up again and retesting the 25,000 level. Now, if we can't get above 23.8, it goes to the scenario that I just talked about prior, which is where you have to start looking at this 22,300 area on the chart.
While talking about Ether, Gareth Soloway said it has demonstrated strong support at the $1,600 level, indicating that any potential declines may be minor. Although there is a possibility of a short-term dip, it is unlikely to last long as the overall outlook for Ether suggests growth in both the medium and long term. According to the latest long-term forecast, Ether's price will climb above $2,000 by the middle of 2023 and hit $2,146 by the end of the year, marking a 31% increase from today to the year's end.
And we're kind of stuck in a same kind of parallel channel that we're seeing in the Bitcoin chart. And what I mean by that is if we kind of draw a trend line like this, we can bring this down here as well and notice that we're trending sideways to slightly up. Now, the one thing I think is a positive here in the near term, and this is just talking over the next few days to a week or so, is that we had this strong move up where we tested the high, and now you are consolidating. So there is a chance that we could make another attempt, just like with Bitcoin, at the recent highs. If we do that and we can puncture it, you then have the possibility of going up and retesting that 2,000 level. Now, interestingly enough, the 2,000 level was the highest point on Ethereum since the lows were put in, right? And that's going back to basically August of 2022. Interestingly enough, Bitcoin has already tested that high from that point. Now, granted, Ethereum made a much bigger percentage move, but it'd be interesting to see if Ethereum still needs to test that level before there's any chance of a corrective move, since Bitcoin already did do it. So it is something I'm watching. I would be, based on the current chart in the very near term, I would be slightly bullish on Ethereum here just over the next few days.
Bitcoin started March on a positive note, but historically, the month has recorded mediocre gains, which could be an early warning sign for crypto investors. Soloway predicts that there may be a temporary decline in the value of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in the near future. However, he remains optimistic about the long-term potential of digital currencies, indicating that their future looks promising. Do you think whether or not Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will perform as predicted by Gareth Soloway in 2023? Let us know in the comment section below. If you found this content useful, please consider liking this video and subscribe to our channel. See you with another update.